Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellowship. My name is Kyle. Tonight it is Thursday Night Live, man. We're going to be going over all of these start sits. We're going to be looking at the injury news and answering any questions that you guys have in the chat room. So if you guys are just hanging out with us, definitely subscribe, get your question in the chat room, and I will help you out as soon as your question comes through. But for now, I do want to kind of just go over the player news and all the injury reports that were out there today. I did see a couple of them that were a little bit of a head scratcher. Let's go ahead and share the screen here. And yeah, Jason, we're so close, man. We're so close. 100K. We can almost taste it. I think we're 15 or 16 away. So, hey, if you guys are new to the channel, definitely subscribe. It's going to help us grow. And yeah, once we get to 1K, man, we can get monetized on this. So that will be a huge milestone. So hope you're doing well, Jason. Thanks for hanging out. I did see DK Metcalf, man, sidelined on Thursday's practice. It still appears to be maintenance, they say, as Metcalf played through the issue in week 2. And Coach Pete Carroll has said he expects him to play against Carolina. So overall, I'm not super concerned about DK Metcalf. I love the fact that he was able to return in that week 2 game. I do want to pull up the practice reports here as we go over it. Good evening to Harris, man. Hope you're doing well. Let's pull up these practice reports. And yeah, Seattle practice reports. We have DK Metcalf down here. DNP and DNP, Wednesday, Thursday. So I think they're just kind of being cautious with him. Maybe tomorrow he gets in a limited day. Keenan Allen or Mike Evans, non-PPR. So that one's interesting. We're at that point now where I'm going to start being able to defer to my fantasy points allowed charts. Now, the Eagles defense is allowing the most fantasy points per game to opponent offenses. And then you talk about Keenan Allen with the Chargers. The Chargers are going to be going up against the Vikings. The Vikings allow the 16th most, so it's a decent matchup there. Now, in terms of wide receiver points allowed, it does look like Philadelphia, they rank 28th in wide receiver points. They've allowed 4 touchdowns, over 411 yards, and 33 receptions. And the Chargers going up against the Minnesota Vikings. Where is Minnesota? Why can't I read? Again, Minnesota ranks 16th, middle of the road here. So I think you probably – I feel safe with Keenan Allen getting a handful of targets. Like in that game, Chargers versus the Vikings, like that's got 54 projected points in the game. It's going to be a really fun, high-scoring game. So I'm excited about each player. Harris, if you feel strongly about Mike Evans, go ahead and do it. It is on Monday night. I think the guy with the best chance to score a touchdown, I'm going to go with Keenan Allen. I think there's more points in that game. I'm going to lean with Keenan Allen. Good evening to Aiden. I have Burrow and Anthony Richardson, I believe. QR. Should I pick up Stafford just in case Burrow don't play because they play at some QR? Who's QR? I don't think Anthony Richardson's going to play if that's who that is, Jason. I think you hold out hope for Burrow. If Burrow can't play, we'll know more information on Burrow tomorrow. If you need to grab somebody, I'm fine with grabbing Stafford for that night. I appreciate it, Ron. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll get it one of these days soon. Moves being made in the Fellowship League. All right. In my 16-man with a 40-yard catch bonus, Cooks or Roschon? Cooks or Roschon? It's probably Brandon Cooks because he is a full-time player at this point right now. I can easily see him popping 1 or 2 40-yard plays. Roschon, tough matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are the 5th best team against opponent running backs right now here, so it's not a great spot for Roschon. With Roschon, we want to see more usage, more snaps, more routes, more attempts, and more targets. So I think you go with Brandon Cooks here if that's who that is. Ron says, Jay Warren, Algier, Kendrick from our RB2 this week. I already have Bijan and need more upside. Okay, if you need more upside, man, I look at this. Who allows the most points to the fantasy running back here but the Las Vegas Raiders? So to me, I think Jaylen Warren offers you the safest upside here of 8 to 10 points as a floor. And man, oh man, if we get a big Jaylen Warren play for a touchdown in this game, I'm not going to be surprised. Also, like he's starting to look better than Najee Harris. So like if that just kind of comes out and he all of a sudden just starts getting more work, I'm not going to be surprised. I really like Kendre Miller this weekend. He is a bit of a gamble. The Packers do rank 27th against the running back here. I might be starting Kendre Miller in one of my most important leagues, but I think because you have Jaylen Warren, you have the green 32 here against the Raiders, I'm going with Jaylen Warren. But I am excited for Kendre, man. I think everybody should be excited for Kendre. You should go make sure he's not available in your leagues. Thoughts on Drew? What it do? Thanks for hanging out. Thoughts on Spears as a potential RB2 play? Don't know what to think of the Henry downgrade report. Let's go look at that. It's early in the year. They might just be taking it easy with Derrick Henry. DNP with a toe. We'll know more tomorrow, obviously. If you're interested in Tyjae Spears as a running back too, I think the results have been looking pretty decent for Tyjae Spears. Let me go to Tyjae. Let's go see if we can find him. I am just curious real quick. Where is Tyjae Spears? So far through 2 games, he's got 11 carries, 76 yards, 3 receptions on 6 targets. My bad. A range of 3.8 to 7.5 so far. I think we could maybe see a little bit more Tyjae Spears in this one, especially if that toe injury is something to monitor here. So I don't hate it. Hopefully this is I would say only full PPR, Drew. If it's full PPR, then I'm open to him being a low-end RB2 play. I'm either stuck with Perine at RB2 or Thielen and flex. Honestly, like Andy Dalton, I don't hate it for Adam Thielen. It might actually be pretty nice. So I'm playing Thielen over Samaje Perine. I think the Broncos do have a decent matchup here. The Dolphins do allow a fair amount of fantasy points here, but it's hard to trust Broncos running backs, I think, right now, not named Javonte Williams. So I think you got to roll with Thielen. He looked good last weekend. Jason says Hubbard or Warren. I mean, it's a good matchup for Miles Sanders. It's a good matchup for Chuba Hubbard. You see the Seahawks do rank 26th here against the running backs here. So it is a good matchup for both guys. But again, I think I'm committing to Jaylen Warren being an RB2 flex play, I think, for the foreseeable future. I'm willing to change that theory, but Sunday Night Football against the Raiders, we're going to see Jaylen Warren make some plays. But I like both guys. They're both probably good for 7 to 10 points as a floor. We know Chuba catches a lot of passes, but I think Jaylen Warren's the guy we want. What are we doing with Alexander Mattison now? You got to hold on to, unless you want to sell low on him. Like, I mean, Mattison, he honestly was a bit of a trap, I think, but I don't expect Cam Akers to be healthy this weekend. I do expect Mattison to get the ball a starter's worth of carries again this weekend. They play the Chargers. It's a good matchup. He's going to be on the field a lot. So I think for this weekend, you still continue to play Mattison as a low-end RB2 flex. Unless you have, better options, I'm fine with that. But yeah, it's a huge downgrade for the rest of the season for Mattison. We're going to see probably Cam Akers worked in, I think, week 4. So I'd rather own Jaylen Warren than Alexander Mattison at this point. And maybe guys like Roshan. Madison's probably, looking like one of those backup handcuff types. Tank Dell or Jerry Jeudy half PPR? In a half PPR setting, the Denver Broncos do get the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins defense has been about average here. They rank 12th in fantasy points per game to the wide receiver. And Tank Dell looked really good last weekend, but I need to advise that it was against the Colts. Colts passing defense is very, very bad. Jacksonville Jags, they rank middle of the road here. Honestly, I'm probably going Tank Dell over Jerry Jeudy. That's probably where I'm at. Tank Dell led the team in targets last weekend. I do expect him to be heavily involved in the offense. Jeudy, I like Jerry Jeudy, but I need to see a little bit more. It's a trade, not start sit. My bad. Aiden says, let me see here. Is this the trade? I mean, if you're taking one, I'll take Thielen. Garrett Wilson or DJ Moore non-PPR. DJ Moore or Garrett Wilson on PPR. It's a really tough matchup for DJ Moore. I think the Bears are going to get destroyed. Garrett Wilson going up against the New England Patriots. It's a tough matchup on paper, but we've seen through 2 games, Garrett Wilson's come through for us. DJ Moore's only come through in 1 game. I think I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Garrett Wilson, and the fantasy points matchup does dictate Garrett Wilson having the softer matchup. So I'm going to go Garrett Wilson here. When does Waddle have to be out of concussion protocol to play? I think if you have Jalen Waddle, you probably need to start preparing for him not to play this weekend. He's been DNP for 2 straight games, 2 straight days now. I don't know why they don't have him here on Thursday, but it's not looking good for Waddle. I would make sure you have a backup in place. I mean, if he practices tomorrow, that's a good sign here. But if he's DNP tomorrow again, I think they're going to quickly rule him out. So big day tomorrow. He's probably not going to play though, Jason. Should I trade Garrett Wilson for Tyler Lockett non-PPR? I'm fine with it. Again, obviously Garrett Wilson's the better player. Like, if I had to choose one in a vacuum, I'm going Garrett Wilson. But Tyler Lockett right now with Geno Smith is a little bit more appetizing than Garrett Wilson is with Zach Wilson. So I don't hate it. If you want to go get Tyler Lockett, go ahead and do it. I think that's a fine call. And hey, no problem, Ron. Thanks to you for hanging out. Can you rank Mike Williams, Mostert, and is that Luka or Puka? That's got to be Puka. So Jason, I'm curious if this is just for this week. I mean, you got to go with Puka. Like you got to go with Puka. Is way too good right now to mess with. I mean, everyone thought last weekend that the 49ers matchup was going to be tough for Puka, but obviously that didn't freaking matter like at all. So this weekend, Puka Nacua going up against the Cincinnati Bengals. It's a decent defense, but again, we saw the 49ers get destroyed last weekend. So I think Puka is your guy. Raheem Mostert going up against the Dolphins, or going up against the Broncos is a pretty decent matchup. The Broncos do rank, towards the top end of the board here. They've allowed 2 rushing touchdowns. I think Mostert's a safe play, but I'm going to rank them Puka, Mike, Mostert. The big thing that I want to call out here with the Chargers-Vikings game, and that's why I want to break – if I get questions with Mike Williams or Jordan Addison – in them, I'm gonna break ties in favor of this game because look at the Chargers and the Vikings. There's 54.5 total points implied in this game. That's a clear touchdown ahead of the next closest game here. So Mike Williams, probably a decent play, but I'm gonna play Puka over him, and then Mostert, kind of the last piece. Mostert or Dameon Pierce full PPR. We're gonna go with Raheem Mostert. We've seen good things from Raheem through 2 straight weeks. Dameon Pierce right now is kind of on a prove it situation for us. Now I'm very open to like a buy low on Dameon Pierce because the offensive line's been so bad. And this week you got Laramie Tunsil practicing in limited capacity. You also have offensive tackle George Fant back to practice in full capacity. So potentially 2 starting offensive linemen back this weekend could be a huge boost for the run game for the Texans. So I'm hopeful that I'm hopeful that Dameon Pierce can kind of come back soon and be a running back 2 for us, but you got to play Mostert, the hot hand right now. Good evening to Daniel. Hope you're doing well, bud. Cooks or Roschon? Cooks, oh, that's the trade. My bad. Cooks or Roschon? Long term, you want Roschon Johnson. You want to go Roschon Johnson. Tank Dell or Marquise Brown, half PPR. I mean, Marquise Brown did come through for us last weekend. It is the Dallas Cowboys defense, and now you're playing without Trevon Diggs. So I get it. It makes sense for Marquise Brown here, but I kind of like Tank Dell a little bit more. Again, the Cowboys were number 1 against opponent wide receivers. I think I'm going to go with Tank Dell here. Ride the hot hand. It's a 16-man, so many RBs. My RBs are Javonte and Hill, Charb, Pirine, Tank, and my backups for Cooks would be Thielen, Parker. Yeah, man, I think you got depth at wide receiver. Like, I'm fine with Thielen or Parker if you need to whip one of those guys out at receiver. I would collect Roschon Johnson, and it does look like Roschon's finally starting to get some interest, and he could be the guy that's starting maybe next week, week 4, week 5 in October. So Roschon's the guy. And yeah, man, Puka. The Luka Doncic, baby. Oh, baby, it's almost fantasy basketball season, boys. Don't get me started. But anyways, we got a fun. I think it's going to be a better game than people expect on it. I think the Giants might be feisty. Daniel says rank them: Dotson, Tank Dell, and Jaden Reed for this weekend. So it does sound like Christian Watson's going to be back this weekend. So I am a little bit nervous to play Jaden Reed. Aaron Jones is going to be back as well this weekend, and I know Watson DNP this like today, but LaFleur's like we gave him the day off. He practiced the last 2 days. He's going to be fine. So I fully expect Christian Watson to be out there at some point this weekend. But it's a tough matchup. The Saints defense is pretty good. Here they ranked 9th best against the opponent wide receivers. So I don't love the matchup for Jaden Reed. I still want to hold on to Jaden Reed long term. Like, please do. It's also a tough matchup for Jahan Dotson. So that leaves me with Tank Dell. If I'm going to rank these guys, I'm going to go Tank Dell, Dotson, Jaden Reed. I love Tank Dell. I think Tank Dell's a dark horse to lead this team in targets by the end of the year. I love Nico Collins, but Tank Dell gets open, man. Marquise Brown and Jerry Jeudy half PPR. I think I'm going to go with Marquise Brown just because I know he's a little bit healthier. I still think Jerry Jeudy's not 100%. I don't really trust the Broncos. I don't really trust the Cardinals either, but the Cardinals are going to have to throw the ball and no Trayvon Diggs. So I'll go Marquise over Jerry Jeudy. Raza, thank you for hanging out. Thanks for the question. Let's get this down. 8-man PPR flex Ramondre or Mike Williams. I'm leaning Mike Williams. And honestly, it's an 8-man league, right? So like these are going to be some pretty loaded questions. And I don't know if you're with us, Raza, before I mention this, but there's 40 or 54 and a half total points implied in this Chargers Vikings game. So your best odds of getting a touchdown come from Mike Williams over Ramondre Stevenson. Ramondre Stevenson down here in kind of a knuckleball game. The lowest point total of the weekend is the Patriots versus the New York Jets. They're only projecting 36.5 points in this one. So that's essentially 2.5 to 3 more touchdowns scored in the Chargers Vikings game. So I think you got it right. You got to go with Mike Williams. Mike's been playing pretty good to start the year. I know he was a little bit quiet week 1, but he looked good week 2. I think I'm going Mike Williams here with Raza. Good call. Harris says Gus Busser, Antonio Gibson, full PPR. This one's not close, Harris. It is Gus Edwards. I am seeing that it looks unlikely that Justice Hill's going to play. Justice Hill, DNP with a toe injury. This might be the Gus Bus show. In terms of matchup in fantasy points allowed, the Ravens are going to get the Colts. The Colts have given up 137 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Really good odds for Gus Edwards to fall into the end zone again, so it's Gus Edwards. Jalen Warren or Brian Robinson, half PPR. It's tight. I think I'm going to go with Brian Robinson just because I know he's going to get the ball 17 to 20 times. I do like Jalen Warren, but we're betting on him being really insanely efficient with only like 6 to 10 touches. So in this case, Harris, I'm going with the touches. I'm going with Brian Robinson. Pick one, Jeudy, Marquise, or Warren, full PPR. I will go with Marquise Brown. They're going to have to throw the ball against the Cowboys. No Trayvon Diggs for the year now. It's probably Marquise Brown. Hey, no problem. That's such an awesome comment. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it, guys. Can't wait to get over 1,000 subscribers and continue to grow this thing. So that makes me feel so happy. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I love hanging out with you guys. I love hanging out and answering questions and talking with the good people here. Harris says Warren or Marquise Brown, half PPR. I'm probably going to stick with Marquise Brown, man. I know Marquise Brown's a little hard to trust, as should be. The Cardinals offense is not exactly one that we're super excited about. But Marquise Brown, through 2 games, 5 targets and 10 targets. I mean, his floor is 3 for 28 here, which is not terrible. He did have a 29-yard carry week 1 here to really boost his floor, but you're probably looking at a range of 8 to 17 points in a full PPR setting. And sure, if you need to knock him down a few points for half PPR, I get it. But I do think Marquise Brown's probably where I want to be. I'm open to Jerry Jeudy at some point this year, but I don't know if I can trust Mr. Judy at the moment right now. He did not really play a great game in his first game back here. What did he hit? 3 for 25 on 5 targets in a game where Russell Wilson threw for a ton of points. You know, I'm slightly concerned. I need to see a little bit more there. Juwan or Luke Musgrave, half PPR. So I know the New Orleans Saints are they're like one of the best teams against tight end. They don't allow tight end points, so it's probably Luke Musgrave. Or no, it's probably Juwan Johnson. I'm gonna go Juwan Johnson here for the starting tight end. David Montgomery, the news is inconclusive so far. He's been back-to-back DNPs, but again, he's playing with a thigh bruise. If he were to get in a limited day in tomorrow, that's going to leave the door open for him. So it's a huge day tomorrow. I'd imagine they're just making sure he's well rested. I'm going to lean towards Montgomery being a game time decision on Sunday. So hopefully, though, he gets a limited practice in tomorrow. That would be best case scenario. But yeah, so far we need more information on our guy here. I do want to cover some more information here. Again, no DK Metcalf at practice today. Saquon Barkley dealing with a high ankle sprain, which is not ideal. Let's keep an eye on Wan'Dale Robinson. He was a pretty productive player last year for the Giants. If he does get out there, I want to see how he looks with that knee injury from last season. No Brandon Ayuk, no Ambry Thomas, no TDP, and a couple other guys inactive for the 49ers. The Patriots signed Will Grier, which is interesting. Jacoby Myers is going to play. I'm excited about Jacoby Myers. It's a tough matchup against the Steelers. My bad. It's a tough matchup against the Steelers, but I'm open to Jacoby Myers in this week. Dalvin Cook or Antonio Gibson. I'm going Antonio Gibson here. I think Dalvin's cooked. Gibson did look good on his receptions. He had a really nice catch and run. I don't know if you guys saw it on the Red Zone channel, but Gibson can still play. I know he can still play. I don't think Cook can still play. And in a game against Buffalo, Sam Howell and the Commanders might have to throw the ball a little bit more than we're used to. So I do think the Commanders throwing to Antonio Gibson's a decent thought this weekend. Breece Hall limited. I think we're going to see more Breece Hall touches this weekend. Joe Burrow. It sucks that they play Monday night, but hey, there's 2 Monday night games. So if you guys need a hedge, hold out hope. I think you can easily play Matthew Stafford. If you guys just want to go ahead and you have Joe Burrow right now, try and find room for Matthew Stafford. See what happens. It's going to be a good game. Stafford's going to throw the ball against the Bengals a lot. And I know they have Kieran Williams now, running the ball, but I do think Stafford's a nice Joe Burrow replacement for you. No Puka Nacua today, but again, I think with the game being on Monday night, I'm not concerned about this yet. He's got time to get in there. CJ Stroud, full practice today. Boston Scott's still in the concussion protocol. How was Kenneth Gainwell? I did see Kenneth Gainwell was back at practice today. I think I saw a limited tag on him. Yep, limited practice today, so still limited with a rib injury. Boston Scott DNP. So it looks like Gainwell's on track to play. Madison or Brian Robinson, a full PPR? I'm going Brian Robinson. And I know we kind of talked about the point total in the Chargers-Minnesota Vikings game, but I'm going to go with Brian Robinson. I know he's getting, again, 17 to 20 touches, whether that's 17 carries and 3 receptions. I want to go with that volume in a game where we expect the Bills to score points and we expect the Commanders to have to play catch up or at least keep up, something like that. So I'm going to go Brian Robinson in that question there. Jason says Baker or Stafford this weekend. That's an interesting question. So let's go look and see who's allowed the most points to QB, and it's the Eagles. The Eagles have allowed the most points to opponent quarterbacks. They've allowed Mac Jones and Kirk Cousins to be the QB1s the last 2 games in a row. So it is a good matchup for Baker Mayfield. It is in Tampa Bay. So I do like Baker. The Bengals, though, look at not too far behind. It's a good matchup for both these guys. Right now, the Bengals are allowing 20.77 points per game. The Eagles allowing 27.35 points per game. So it comes down to this, Jason. Who do you trust to throw for 2 touchdowns? That's who you want to play. I do think Baker Mayfield could easily do it. I think Matthew Stafford's safer, though. I kind of want to lean with Matthew Stafford. If you're feeling risky, though, the matchup does say Baker Mayfield, man, might be the guy you're looking for, but I'm going to play a little bit safe. I'm going to go with Matthew Stafford, who coming off he didn't throw a touchdown last week, did he? I think he maybe threw one. I'm not sure, but he had a bad game last weekend. I expect him to bounce back. That is a tough one. That's a tough one, Harris. I'm nervous we're going to see the Vikings kind of mess stuff around this weekend and maybe get Ty Chandler involved. Madison's giving us nothing the first two games here. Going up against the Chargers do rank 20th against the running back, 22.70 points per game. It's a good matchup for Alexander Madison, but he just hasn't really showed us much. Green Bay, though, the Packers, they got waxed last week against the run. I think I'm going to go with Kendre Miller here, Harris. If you're not feeling it, you can also play Kenneth Gainwell. Personally, I don't love the matchup for Gainwell or DeAndre Swift this weekend. The Buccaneers have only allowed 101 rushing yards all season. Ideally, you want to wait and see what this Eagles backfield looks like. So I'm kind of pumping the brakes on Swift and Gainwell. I mean, if you're comfortable with Madison, it's fine. But if this was my league, I'm probably going Kendre Miller just for the upside there. Madison or Tyler Algier non-PPR. I'm going to go Tyler Algier. Raza says Cam Akers just got signed by the Vikings too. I don't know. And see, I don't know if it'd be something if Cam Akers is out there getting touches, just after getting there today or tomorrow. So I'm not sure if he's going to be active yet. We do need to know that. If he's inactive, I'm open to Madison. But maybe Cam Akers is on the sideline and he's active, like an emergency back kind of thing. We'll see. So yeah, I think the ship has sailed on Alexander Madison, guys. I'm pretty nervous. If you can find a buyer for him, I'd flip Alexander Madison for Kendre Miller, Roschon Johnson. I'd flip him for Jaylen Warren. I'm looking for younger, fresher legs that could make some noise, later on down the season. But hey, guys, it is 7 p.m. Central Time here. We do have kickoff in about 15 minutes. So if you guys have any more questions, please fire them up. I'm going to get out of here for the evening. It's going to be tough for me to do videos this weekend. I have a wedding that I am a part of this weekend, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a Saturday video in. And right now, we're currently pending my Sunday morning live stream. So for now, join the Discord. There's a link in the description. I'll get to your questions if I can there. I'm going to try and do a Sunday morning live, 10 a.m. Central Time, 2 hours before kickoff. But otherwise, enjoy 49ers and the New York Giants. Thank you guys for hanging out. Join the Discord. Good luck with all of your fantasy lineups and your DFS, all your bets, everything you need. You guys enjoy the game. Peace.